Howdy folks, welcome back to my World of Tanks replays with the mighty Jingles. Today we are finally, after many trials and tribulations, able to show you a preview of the Comet Tier 7 medium tank. I've had all sorts of problems trying to get my replays saved so I could actually show you the games I've played in these tanks. Hours and hours of games just down the tubes, totally wasted. 35 gigabytes of video completely wasted. Unfortunately, that's just what things are like when you're playing on a test server. They're not stable. There are problems. They did notify everybody in the patch notes that they were working on issues and enhancements to the replay system, and I was just kind of lucky in the first version of the patch that I didn't have any problems. Unfortunately, the problems have all cropped up in the second version of the patch, but now I know what to look for. I can avoid some of these issues, and we can hopefully get back on track with more patch 8.1 British tank preview goodness. So, kicking off with the Comet Tier 7 medium tank. What's it like? Well, it's alright. I've had some good games in it. I've had some awful games in it, but it wasn't because the tank was bad, it was because everybody on the other team were Tier 9. That's just a fact of life of playing on the test server in anything that can get into Tier 9, or and you're going to find the same when you're playing a Tier 8 vehicle. All your games are Tier 10. That's just life on the test server. But the tank has done okay. So quick roundup of the stats, and then we'll start talking about individual features. So the first thing you're going to notice when you get to Tier 7 in the medium tanks is you get a big buff to your health pool. The Cromwell at Tier 6 only had 750 health, which was alright for a Tier 6 medium tank. But the Comet has 1150, and that's the same as most of the other Tier 7 mediums. It is a heavier tank, however, and it has the same engine as the Cromwell. Now this is a good thing and a bad thing. If you look at the research tree of the Comet, you're going to find it's a very, very pain-free grind. It's going to be very, very easy to upgrade this thing, because you've already got, they're the stock materials. You've already got that gun, you've already got that radio, you've already got that engine. So all you really need is the turret, the 77mm gun, the top radio, and the tracks, and that's it. You've got everything else. So it's not much of a grind on the Cromwell. On the Comet. I'm probably going to get the names of these two tanks mixed up a lot throughout the course of this video, because I keep referring to the Cromwell when making comparisons, so bear with me. So that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing that you don't have as much to research, because you're reusing stuff from the Cromwell, because it's a heavier tank. It weighs 33.1 tons. Excuse me. Heavier tank, same engine. So, lower power to weight ratio, 19.64 specific power, as opposed to the Cromwell's 23.19. But, and it has to be said, that's not a bad power to weight ratio. It's just not as good as the Cromwell's. And you're going to hear me say this a lot throughout the course of this preview. It's just not as good as the Cromwell's. So the top speed is slower, because same engine, heavier tank, slower vehicle, 51.5 kilometers per hour. But that's not a bad top speed, and that's something else you're going to hear me say a lot throughout the course of this preview. Because first I'm going to say, yeah, it's not as good as on the Cromwell, but then I'm going to say, but it's not actually bad. And you have to bear that in mind. The Cromwell was a very special tank. It was a medium tank, Tier 6 medium, that played more like a Chaffee, a Tier 5 light tank, than anything else I've ever seen in the game. It did not play like a medium tank. The Comet plays like a medium tank, because it's a medium tank. That's the way it should play. And this is no bad thing. So while I keep drawing these comparisons against the Cromwell, it's not really fair, because the Cromwell's a fantastic little tank. Totally not the kind of tank you're expecting when you come to drive it. The Comet is the kind of tank you're expecting. It's a fast medium. It's a good fast medium. It's no worse than any of the other Tier 7 medium tanks. And in some cases it's better than the other Tier 7 medium tanks. But it's a medium tank, and it plays like a medium tank, and it handles like a medium tank. And that's not bad, because it is a medium tank. Finally, you're actually getting the flavour of the British medium tank line. One of the flavours of the British medium tank line is crappy armour. 76mm of armour at the front, 43 at the sides, 32 at the rear. Yeah, don't expect that to stop anything. Absolutely everything firing back at you. Even if you were a top tier tank, even if you're in a tier 7 maximum game, everything shooting back at you, even the tier 4 scouts, are going to be able to penetrate the hull of this thing. The only thing that enables you to survive is your speed, manoeuvrability, and the fact you have 1150 hit points. However, there are some options available with the turret armour, and I would only recommend this in a tier 7 maximum game. Because the front of the turret, or the upgraded turret, the stock turret is awful. It's pretty much just the Cromwell's turret. But the upgraded turret is 111 millimeters thick, and it has a gun mantle. That's not bad. And I'm starting to think of American heavy tanks at this stage. Tanks like the T-29, the T-32, with really, really good gun mantles and frontal turret armour, and I'm thinking about going hull down. And while I wouldn't recommend you play it while trying to get hull down all the time you can, because that's just a waste of the speed and manoeuvrability. And 111 is good, but it's not that good. In a tier 8 or 9 game, going hull down isn't going to save you in this thing. But it's certainly an option. If you're in a tier 7 game where you're top tier, you're going to come across a lot of tanks who are going to have problems putting shots through that gun mantle. And if you can get it in the right position, on the right terrain, in the right circumstances, there's a lot of ifs here, getting hull down in this thing, getting hull down in this thing and using that gun mantle, it's not a terrible idea. And the tank does also have pretty good gun depression. So again, it's another option. When you're coming up over a hill, you can get that gun down quite far. It's not quite up to American tank standards, but it's not bad. And just exposing the top of your turret over the ridge of a hill and shooting down the other side, or across the top of the hill to tanks, in the distance, it's an option. This tank does give you a lot of options. It's quick and manoeuvrable, so you can play it like a fast medium, because it is a fast medium, but it's got a tough turret, so when you're top tier you can go hull down and take advantage of that. You can also use that turret and the good gun depression to shoot over the top of a ridge from relative safety on the other side. So there's lots of options with this thing, and I like that about it. Speaking of the manoeuvrability, I keep going saying, oh yes, it's a fast medium tank, and it is a fast medium tank. A 51.5 speed limit, not as good as the Cromwell, but the Cromwell's lighter with the same engine, so to be expected. 36-degree traverse, the same as the Cromwell, but this tank in no way handles as well as the Cromwell does, despite what the stats would tell you, and that's because of a hidden statistic on the suspension. Now, you load up the suspension, and it basically tells you the load limit, the traverse speed, and how much it weighs. There's a couple of things it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you the durability of the suspension, i.e. how much health the suspension has. And that determines how much damage your tracks can take before they fall off. And it also determines how long your tracks stay fallen off before your crew can repair them. But there's another hidden statistic on the suspension of your tank, and that's the ground resistance. Now, if you're wondering what the ground resistance is, just have a look at your driver, and one of the driver skills is off-road driving. And off-road driving reduces ground resistance when driving on soft and moderately soft terrain. Lower ground resistance increases vehicle manoeuvrability and acceleration. So, ground resistance basically determines whether or not you can achieve and maintain that top speed and that traverse speed. Now, the Cromwell has fantastic ground resistance, and it manages to maintain, it manages to maintain its top speed and its nice tight 36-degree traverse on almost all the ground it drives on. The Comet doesn't. So, yeah, it's a fast medium. Yeah, you want to be circling and pumping shots into the sides and rears of bigger tanks and all that sort of thing. But it does bleed off speed when it corners, in a way that the Cromwell just doesn't. And I have found myself getting very, very frustrated trying to get around the sides and rears of tanks that I really should be able to get around the side and rear of, only to find my speed slowing down, and then they're putting shots into my side, blowing my tracks off, pinning me in place and just taking me apart. But you know what? That happens to all medium tanks. This thing is no worse in that respect than any other mid-high tier medium tank. It's kind of disingenuous of me to complain about the ground resistance of the suspension on this tank, because it's no worse than any other tank in the game, with the exception of a couple of very, very, very good tanks, like the Cromwell and the Chaffee, who just seem to maintain their speed and manoeuvrability regardless of the ground that they're driving on. To complain that the Comet doesn't is a bit crap, really, because neither does any other tank in the game. So, and I'm mentioning it purely because you come to this after driving the Cromwell, and it's going to seem worse than it really is on the Comet, because after driving the Cromwell, which turns on a sixpence no matter what terrain you're driving on, and you come to this and it doesn't, well, you know, welcome to the world of every other tank in the game, I'm afraid. You know, it's a bit churlish to complain about something that affects nearly every tank. So again, the complaints that I have to level at the Comet are really not complaints about the Comet, because they apply to every other tank, and it's just after driving the Cromwell you've suddenly got to get used to driving a real tank again. The Comet ain't bad, it's just it's a bit of a downer, you know, coming down to earth again after driving the Cromwell. Now another complaint that I have to level at the Comet, and this is kind of like me complaining about the suspension being as good as every other tank in the game. It's not much of a complaint at all, but it's the guns. Now, the Comet doesn't have the same gun selection as the Cromwell. The Cromwell has a lot more guns to choose from, but most of those guns are pretty crap on the Cromwell. The Comet has 3 choices after the stock gun. Oh, is that? Looks like the stock gun's a 3.7-inch howitzer. Is that right? I believe it is. Let me just check the research list. No, 75mm gun Mark 5. Whew. It's just interesting that you open up the gun selection and the first one there is a 3.7-inch howitzer. That is actually the stock gun. So you've got that's your stock gun, and then your choices are 3.7-inch howitzer, which you will already have unlocked from the Cromwell, the 75mm Vickers High Velocity, which you will already have unlocked from the Cromwell, and this is the new gun, the OQF 77mm gun Mark II. Ooh, 77mm gun. Is it any good? Well, yeah, it's not bad. But you already know exactly what that gun is like, because it's exactly the same as the 75mm Vickers HV. And this is my other complaint about the Comet. You grind away using the gun that you had on the Cromwell, this thing here, only to unlock this thing and find out it's exactly the same as the gun you've already been using. It's got the same rate of fire, it's got the same accuracy, it's got the same aiming time, it's got 3 more penetration, 148, and it's got 5 more damage, 140. Really? That's it? That's what we're grinding out XP for? The same friggin' gun? But again, while it is very disappointing, there's a couple of things you have to bear in mind about this gun. Since it pretty much is the same gun as this gun, you were kind of spoiled on the Cromwell driving around with that gun, because you've basically got a tier 7 medium tank gun on the Cromwell at tier 6. It's no worse, really, than the 77mm gun on the Comet. And the other thing to bear in mind about this 77mm gun on the Comet is it's no worse than any of the other tier 7 medium tank guns. So again, the only complaints that I can really level at the Comet are, oh, it's just the same as everybody else. You know, that's not really much of a complaint. This compares very well to the 85mm on the T43. It's better in some respects and worse in other respects to the 88mm L56 on the Panther and the VK 3002DB. The only gun that is clearly better than this, I'd say, would be the 90mm M3 on the T20. But this one is a lot more accurate. It's a lot more accurate, and it has almost 3 times the rate of fire. So, you know, it's ups and downs. And again, one of the only things I can really complain about in the Comet, the gun, isn't really something I can complain about. So yeah, it's not a bad tank. It's going to feel like a letdown after driving the Cromwell, purely because the Cromwell is so amazingly good. But after a couple of games, you'll start to really get an appreciation for how this thing plays. It's not a bad tank. You have options with this tank. It's a decent, fast, medium tank. And as I said right at the beginning, you don't have to be very good as a tier 7 medium to look good amongst all the other tier 7 mediums, because none of them are spectacular. And this tank does look good amongst the other tier 7 mediums. I wouldn't. Would I go so far as to say it was my favourite? Well, we'll save that till the end. Let's not spoil the summary for you. For now, let's have a look at some of the games. Oh! Before we crack on, one thing that I forgot to mention, very, very important. In fact, the only complaint I levelled at the Cromwell was that it was crying out for a vertical stabiliser, but it wasn't able to fit one. The Comet can fit a vertical stabiliser. So, hooray! And I would say that this is definitely the number one choice of equipment that you want to fit on this tank, because a tank with a 15 round per minute rate of fire, firing on the move doesn't really matter if you miss a medium range shot firing on the move, because you've got a second shell in the breech and ready to go 4 seconds later, and it doesn't usually miss while firing on the move. It is pretty good at it, especially with a vertical stabiliser. So, quick tip there. Anyway, other equipment fitted: tank gun rammer, enhanced gun lane drive. You might want to skip the enhanced gun lane drive and add improved vents, for example. But 2.3 second aim and time. You don't spend a lot of time stationary in this thing, shooting at targets, I have to say. So, enhanced gun lane drive, probably not a great choice. Improved vents is probably better, but that's what I fitted. So anyway, yes, game on. Let's see how this thing plays. Well, thanks to my my replay problems, this is the only one of the numerous, and I do mean numerous, like 15 or 16 tier 9 games I got into in the Comet, and this is the only one I actually have a watchable replay of. So, very, very harsh matchmaking. There are 4 tier 7s, an AMX M445, an IS T29, and me, the only tier 7 medium tank. In fact, I think I'm the only medium tank other than a Super Pershing and a T44. The rest is just artillery and an ELC scout. And yep, there's the text. That's me screwed. I really don't like the look of that opposition. Those IS-6s are going to be trouble. The Jagdtiger is going to be trouble. The Conquerors are going to be trouble. The T-54 is going to be trouble. Even the T-44 is going to be trouble unless I can get shots into his flank. The IS shouldn't be too much of a problem. The Tiger shouldn't be too much of a problem. But there's not an awful lot of tanks that I pose much of a threat to unless I can get around their sides and rear. So here we go, Fjords. A map that I do actually like quite a lot. And it looks like their ELC or AMX is, yep, it's their ELC, it's just suiciding. It looks like the T-50's just rushed right in the middle of all our mediums as well. And there we go. Oh, they've killed our T-50. So, a fairly even trade at the start of the game. 1 scout for 1 scout. And you can see by the map, it's all starting to develop. I haven't spotted anything yet. Let's see what we see when I come around this corner. And there's a Conqueror. No, I don't think I'm the one who detected him. Okay, let's head over here. See if we can get some flanking fire going into these guys on the open field. And I don't have a oh, do I have a shot? No, he's gone. Alright, let's move up. Let's get on the corner. Because there is going to be trouble coming around here. There always is. T-44 with the Conqueror. And they're just out of my line of sight. In the low ground over there on the other side. Oh, the Conqueror took a big hit. There's an IS-6 with him. Come on, guys, what are you waiting for? Oh, crap, Tiger. Yep. Don't want to be... I mean, I can fire a lot faster than him. So there you go. A couple of shots through the front of the Tiger. No problem. And that one bounced. Balls, this is not good. Come on, fellas. There's a heavy tank and a tank destroyer behind me. I could use... Come on, help. And I'm very surprised that we actually put a shot into the driver's viewport of that Tiger and it just bounced off. And I could finish off that Tiger if I could just get a shot into it, but oh crap. I'm very surprised I penetrated an IS-6 even from the side. So this is not a good position. And another penetrating hit, and thankfully he missed because his gun can really give me problems. IS-6 doesn't have a fantastic gun, but it's good enough to deal with a tier 7 medium. Now that's more like the sort of shot you can expect when you're shooting at an IS-6. Try to at least blow his tracks off. Thank you, you decided to turn up, good. Another bounce off the Tiger. What is going on here? Look at that. Why is he not dead? I've took another hit and they've killed my gunner. Come on, kill him. Thank you. Jesus, how many bounces off the front of a Tiger? It's only 100mm of armour. And I was hitting weak spots. And oh, I'm doomed. I'm doomed. I'm doomed. He's going to hit me. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it was actually an SU. No, it was the IS-6. Oh. Well, that was bad. Well, it wasn't bad. I mean, took these guys. What were they doing? Just dicking around on that corner up there, shooting at nothing, leaving me here to hold a corner against an IS-6, an AMX 445, and a friggin' Tiger. Oh, and now they finally... He just missed. Did you see that? AMX 50 Foch missed. And he didn't bounce, he missed an IS-6 from 10 meters range. Unbelievable. That Tiger 2 seems to be... Well, he's got the stock turret, which probably explains why he took so long getting around that corner. If he's got the stock turret, he's unlikely to have the top engine. And there goes our artillery. T-44's in trouble. Let's follow this IS-6. Oh no, I can't. Yeah, while you're playing the game, you can hold down control and click on a tank to see what they're doing. You can't do it in a replay, unfortunately, so... Oh, T-44's getting pounded, and it's probably that T-54. Yeah. We switch to the Foch. He's pretty beaten up. But he does have 4 kills, you know, so... I suppose anybody can miss a shot. It's no real reflection on the skill of the player involved. See how this game pans out. It was looking pretty bad. Still not looking very good, but it's reasonably even. Unfortunately, look at their T-54, 5 kills. He knows what he's doing. It's a good T-54 driver. Yeah. You can't drive through rocks, mate. Yeah. Look at this guy skidding and sliding all over the place. Yeah, I think some of this, what you're seeing here, this dodgy handling is just an artifact of the replay system. They are working on the replay system for patch 8.1. I don't know what they're doing to it other than breaking it. Touchy subject with me. And there we are, we're being capped. And it's probably the T-54. And this one is probably going to be a defeat. Unless that IS-6 manages to do something about resetting the cap, and it looks like he's heading around that way, but they're not an incredibly fast tank. Look at the way this guy's sliding all over the place. That's not his driving, that's just a dodgy replay. And yeah, we've lost. Base captured. There we go. Boom. Okay. Well, if you're playing the Comet or any tier 7 tank on the test server, that's the sort of game you should get used to. Because of the 3,000 people playing, 2,800 are driving tier 8s, 9s and 10s. Mostly 9s and 10s. So I have never, in all the games I've played on the Comet, and I've played a lot of games on the Comet, I've never gotten into a tier 7 maximum game. It just hasn't happened. And that's unfortunate, because I'd like to see what this tank can do when it's top tier. I mean, I'm not expecting great things of it. It only has 76mm of armour. No matter what kind of tier game it's in, everything is going to be able to penetrate and kill it. But when you're in a tier 9 game, well, there's only so much you can do in a tank with 76mm of armour and a gun with 148mm of penetration. And I think we did the best that we possibly could in that game. I mean, and the scores seem to reflect it. Take a look at that. Yep, tier 7 medium tank in a tier 9 game. And we got the 3rd highest experience of everybody on our team. Most of that team sucked. No two ways about it. Most of that team were utterly useless. There were a couple of good players there. Unfortunately, there were just 1 or 2 more good players on the enemy team, and that's what wins and loses matches, I'm afraid. Personally, however, well, 16 fired, 16 hit. It is an accurate gun. Can't complain about the accuracy, but I can complain about the penetration. 7 penetrating hits, which did 980 damage. We took 6 hits and obviously died. Detected 4, damaged 3, killed 1. Finally put a hole in that target. The target's the one we killed. There it is. But look at this. We hit him 8 times and we did 367 damage, which basically tells me that we did 2 penetrating hits. That's 6 bounces at point blank range, firing straight into the weak spots on the front of a target, and we couldn't get through. Now, we were aiming at his driver's hatch and his machine gun port. Whether or not that's where we hit or not, that's a different matter, but that's kind of depressing. The fact that we pumped 8 shots into this fella and 6 of them just bounced off and without doing any damage. It could just be bad luck. It could just be shitty aiming. It could just be shots not going where we aim them. We could just got low penetration rolls. It's certainly not something that you should base any judgment on this tank over. But it's frustrating, again, because it's always tier 8, very rarely tier 8, mostly tier 9 games. And in that sort of game, a tank that's got a gun with 148mm of penetration, you have to be getting around the sides and rear of enemy tanks. And I've had games where I've managed to do that and done quite well. But none of those replays saved, because the second version of the patch 8.1 test screwed up all my replays. And I had no opportunity to do that in this match, because, yeah, I could have gone around the side of that target, and that IS-6 would have carved me up. That ARL-44 would have carved me up. You need to come across an isolated tank in order to take advantage of the speed, turret traverse, and hull traverse of this gun. And that just didn't happen in that game. So, we did the best we could. And we didn't do too badly. I mean, 606 XP on a loss isn't bad. But the Comet can do better than that. So, let's see what we can do. Well, I figure one way of fixing my my battle replay problems is to just record the matches live as they happen. And if they're crap, I can always delete them. So, Serene Coast. And again, relatively generous matchmaking, although we are stuck right at the bottom of the list. They're pretty much all tier 8s except for the IS, KV2, SU-152 and the SU-100. But I wouldn't have a problem driving an SU-100 in this game, even though it's only tier 6. It's got a 122mm gun. Oh, great. So nobody's coming up here. It's just me, is it? I'm it. Already not getting a warm and fuzzy feeling. By the way, check out the gun depression. It is very good.
They're knocked out. Looks like that one went right through. Penetration.
Crap, he's shooting back. I don't like getting shot at. It's bad for my complexion. Let's try and track this guy. Ah!
You can go through.
Hit his lower glacis. Got no shot at that Centurion, but that's good because it means he also has no shot at me. And that was a wishful thinking shot at the Jagdpanzer. There's no artillery in this game, thankfully.
Looks like that one went right through.
Oh,
Got the radio man.
crap.
Stay close to the other vehicle.
That was the Jagdpanther. That hurt. That really hurt. He's killed the radio man. Alright, yeah, I'm moving. I think I've outstayed my welcome here. We'll let the guys with some armour actually handle that side. And they're taking a beating. I might have to relocate. Oh, there's far too many of us stuck here. So that's not a good place to be. I'm running out of options here. Great, we've lost. Well, we've only lost a KV2. It's not too bad, it could be worse. Let's just go and spot. Oh, we got some flanking fire on that Centurion going. Good. Oh, shit. Damn it! It's too slow to react. Okay, yeah. I cannot sit in that spot. That Jagdpanther is going to cream me. But what are my options? I mean, where am I supposed to go? There's too many tanks down there. This sitting in this bush is just waiting to be killed by the Jagdpanther. Oh, he took a hit. He took a big hit. Thank you. Well done, Mr. SU-152. So, let's see what we can shoot at. Come on. Come to daddy. Come on, poke your nose out. Be a good boy. Yeah, it's a waste of a shot at the Lerva. Or is it? Yeah, we'll just give my position away. Let's not. No. Dodgy shot. Not going to hit that. Not going to penetrate him. The IS is hurting the Centurion, but he's probably going to die.
Enemy is hit.
Oh, give me a break.
That's gotta hurt.
Better. Got a bad feeling about that Jagd Tiger 88. He's got a good shot at me. And the Centurion's down. Good. Still anybody's game.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Didn't get him.
We've hit them hard.
Oh, he just got away. Lucky sod. Come on, reload, 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 reload. Oh, give me a break. He's dead. Okay, this is looking better. Should I move? I should really be moving up, but I want to know where that Jagd Tiger 88 is. Took that shot too early.
We nailed it bad.
Could have finished him off, but I rushed the first shot. Target 2 is not going to get him. Okay, let's move. Let's get down there. Mindful that I do have very low health. Comet's down. Taking a bit of a chance. Made it. Shit, he's aiming at me. There we go. Come on, find me something I can penetrate.
Penetration. Bailout.
Yeah.
This vehicle is heading.
Oh, and now they kill him. Oh, thanks, team. However, yeah, I can't really complain about that game. It's a tier 8 game. I'm a tier 7 medium, and I'm not very well armoured tier 7 medium. So, how's this one going to play out? Let's follow that Tiger 2. He's trying to get around the side of that T-28 prototype. They've got him. If they can just... He can kill both of them with one shot. But, yeah. Nice little bit of teamwork going on there. And that's it, we've won. Yay! So, yeah, it wasn't a terrible game. And, oh, wow. Was that my first victory of the day? Let's just have a look. No, it's not. That's not my first victory of the day in the Comet. So that's not bad, actually. How did we do there? But yeah, we put some good damage. Well, I say we put some good damage into that Comet. We probably only actually penetrated him 3 or 4 times out of the 5 hits. And we could have killed him. We rushed our second to last shot, and it just missed. Put one shot into him as he got back into cover. If both of those had hit, he'd have been dead. So that was crappy shooting on our behalf. Good kill on that ELC. Learning to lead the target a bit more. I mean, it's obvious, and I should be doing it, but you know, I'm a bad shot. But it's definitely an area in which I can improve. 2 hits on that Jagdpanther 2, only one of which penetrated, and he got some unnecessary hits on us. We should have seen it coming and not popped back up in the same place, but our options were strictly limited. We couldn't head north up the hill, or we'd have been shot to crap in the sides. South, there was a traffic jam of tanks. There was just nowhere else for us to go. It was kind of frustrating. And that Jagdtiger 88, yeah, critical damage to when vehicle 1. I think we blew his tracks off, and that was it. And he finished us off. Playing chicken with the Jagdtiger 88 in one of these things is rarely going to end well for you. Not from the front. This thing has the same armour as the tier 9 Jagdtiger. It's just the gun isn't as good, but it's more than good enough to deal with us. And then 4 good hits into that 3001p, all of which seem to have done damage. Or possibly one of them didn't. In fact, yeah, I think one of them bounced off his turret. But, yeah, that was alright. 28 shots fired. Good rate of fire on this gun. 17 hits, 10 penetrations, and that's the sort of performance you should expect from a gun with 148mm of penetration when you're shooting at targets 300 metres away. But we still did over 1,000 damage. Took 3 hits and we died. Yeah, big gun shooting back at you. You can expect that in this thing. Although I think there were some higher than average damage rolls there. Certainly from the Jagdtiger 88. The 88's gun doesn't do that much damage. But it did enough to kill us with 1 hit with the health that we were on after taking 2 hits from the 105mm gun. On the Jagdpanther 2. Damage 5, killed 1. Yeah, that was alright. That wasn't bad at all. 1,000 XP in a tier 8 game in a tier 7 medium is nothing to be ashamed of. Right, another tier 8 game. Which is, you know, nothing to complain about. I didn't have many tier 8 games. Fortunately, most of the tier 8 games that I had were ones I actually managed to salvage replays from. This is one of them, and this is the average kind of game you're going to find yourself in when you're driving the Comet on the live server. Tier 7 medium tank gets into tier 8 games most of the time. You get some tier 9 games, you get some tier 7 games, but the majority of the games are tier 8. So, again, this should be a reasonable representation of how you can expect the tank to perform when you're playing it live. And this is a decent map for a fast medium tank. You just need to know which way you're going, which I obviously don't. Yep, that's a dead end. Now I could drive off the edge there, but I don't want to risk damaging my suspension. The Panther M10 has no such compunctions. But no, let's not take unnecessary damage. So off we go. Let's see what we can do in this game. IS-6 is going for the corner. Jagdpanther, not sure where he's going. So I'm not going to attack over the top of this hill because that would just be silly. especially with those tank destroyers on the other team, we're probably lying back and waiting for that to happen. But I will pop up and see what targets I can, if not hit, see what targets I can spot. And you know, we're doing 20 kilometers an hour going up this rise, and that ain't bad. So there's a Lerva, a Panther M10, there's a Super Pershing further back there. Oh, come on. All we did was damage his tracks. There we go, got it. Now we did take a hit, not sure what it was. 326 damage, that was a big hit. So that was something tier 8 shooting at us. So let's get back. There's no artillery. Actually, yeah, there's no artillery. Needn't be worried. Ah, right, they've got an IS-6 coming over the top. But there's a Panther M10 up here too, so if I can get some shots into his flank, I should be able to help out. Nope, he's backed off. After putting some hits into the Panther. That Lerva's not looking very clever. Oh, I can finish that Lerva off. Wait a minute. Oh, he's trying to suicide. He's trying to suicide to avoid giving anybody a kill. There he goes. Yeah, we'll put an end to that, pal. Got you anyway. Now the IS-6 and crap. Right, he's just killed the Panther M10 and there's a Churchill coming up here as well. I need to get out of here. I cannot be taking shots from an IS-6 at close range. Now, can I get out before he gets a shot in? I'm going to need to do some good driving here. Yes, I can. He can't get his gun down far enough. Let's get the hell out of here. There's more than enough tanks on that corner over there. They really don't need my help. And there's not a lot I can do against an IS-6 from the front at close range. And I can't get around him because he has a Super Pershing on the hill behind him, giving him Overwatch support fire. So let's go somewhere else. We're a fast medium tank, let's move somewhere fast. And they look like better targets up ahead. Who's this U-101? Can we get a shot? Nah. Alright, and again, there's more than enough people going around that side behind me, so we're looking a little outnumbered up here, so let's... Oh, a Carnarvon. Tier 8 heavy. With really crap side armour. You see, even at that angle we can penetrate it. Oh, bounced. He gets a hit in, but the Carnarvon only does 230 odd damage, so I can afford to trade shots with this guy, especially since we have help. That one just missed. Ugh. Just need to be careful of his reload. Keep an eye on where his gun's pointing. Wait till he fires. He does have a quick reload, but so do we. Another penetrating hit. And he's going to go for that Sherman, because that Sherman is an easier kill. He's on lower health. Actually, no, he's backing off. He's going for the other easy 8. Alright, let's chase him. Chasey, chasey, catchy, catchy. Kissy, kissy. Nope, killy, killy. Oh, missed. Yeah, I'll have your engine block, no problem. I'll take a hit, but we'll finish him off. Actually, I expected a kill with that one, but below average damage roll left him on 1%. As always. It's always the case, isn't it? You got a tank that only takes one more shot to kill, and you get a below average damage roll. Okay. Where's the KV2? You've got to be kidding me. Yeah, that was one of ours. Well, he started it, I finished it. That really winds me up. What you know, what's the... I don't get the point. You thought you'd just shoot at me because I'm not Russian and there's nothing else to shoot at. Yeah. Test server. Oh, there we go. Game over. Kind of a bit of a sour taste left in my mouth at the end of that one, unfortunately. It's just seems to be test server rules. If they're not Russian and there's nothing else to shoot at somebody who's European or American. Although, you know, and again, It's unfair to level criticisms at the Russians, because I've seen plenty of Europeans and Americans behaving like complete wankers on the test server as well. It's just there are more Russians. The server's hosted in Russia. There's more Russians playing this game, so you see more Russian arseholes than anywhere else. Being an arsehole is not a national thing. You get arseholes everywhere. So let's see how we did in that one. Well, finally got some generous matchmaking in the Comet. Well, actually, no, we didn't. That wasn't generous matchmaking. Generous matchmaking would have been a Tier 7 game. I have never had a Tier 7 game in the Comet, not on the test server. 8,600 people play, and 8,000 of them are driving Tier 8s, 9s and 10s, so you don't ever get a Tier 7 game. However, I can't complain about that matchmaking. It's the most generous game I've ever had on the test server in this thing, and it's the kind of game you're going to get into more often than not on the live server, so it was a good run out for the tank. And a good example of how you can expect the tank to perform in the majority of the kind of games that you're going to get it into. The only thing I could complain about is this little cock-eating prick in the Sherman Easy 8 who put a shot into my ass just because there was nothing else for him to shoot at, and presumably because I wasn't Russian. But, you know, he put one shot into me, fine, I'll put one shot into you. You're sitting there on 12 health, you'll be a lot more sorry about it than I will be, Sonny Jim. But that aside, and interestingly enough, I always wondered what it looked like. You destroyed this allied vehicle. That's what it looks like when you do a friendly fire kill. I did wonder. Just a shame I had to find out. But that aside, we did alright. That was a pretty good game. A couple of hits into that Panther M10. A lot of hits. We did 720 damage to that Carnarvon. 7 hits, one of them bounced. 720 damage, 6 penetrating hits, and finished the Carnarvon off. 2 shots at that IS-6, 1 penetrated, then he angled, and then the next shot bounced, and then he fired at us, and he's never going to bounce off us, and I got the hell out of there, which ended up being a very wise decision. A couple of free shots at that KV-2 was AFK in the starting circle, and then this was good. This was one of my favourite kills ever, and I'll tell you why. This Lurver was on low health, he knew he was screwed, and he tried to suicide by driving into the ocean just to be a douchebag and deny the enemy team a kill. And I killed him anyway. So that was a sweet kill. I enjoyed that one. So screw you. I killed you anyway. And we didn't do the best out of the team, but we were pretty damn good. This IS-6 played a blinder. That's a really good game for this IS-6, 1237 XP before any modifications are applied. I mean, I got 904 base XP, modified up to 1356. This fella got almost as much as my modified result before modifications were applied, so yeah, he had a good game. But you know, in a tier 8 game, it's not hard to do well in an IS-6. He has some very, very good armour, especially after patch 8. And the sloped armour normalisation, the IS-6 became a very, very tough tank to penetrate. And his underwhelming gun is fine at tier 8. There's nothing wrong with it. He struggles a bit at tier 9. But at tier 8, yeah, very, very dangerous tank. Tier 8 premium there, Russian heavy. And there's not an awful lot, look at that, sitting there at 4th space with 904 XP, 2nd place 916, so these 3 guys here, big old gap after 4th place, you get down to like 780 odd XP, so yeah, good result, can't complain about that at all. 20 shots fired, 16 hits, 14 penetrated, did 1400 damage, took 3 hits, some of which were pretty much unavoidable. Maybe one of them was avoidable, but they, you know, could have, should have, would have, didn't. Damage 5, killed 3. Happy with that result. So there it is. The Comet. British tier 7 medium tank. And I like it. I do like it. I didn't at first, but I didn't because I'd come to it from the Cromwell. The Cromwell's fantastic. The Comet's just pretty good. And that's not a bad thing. You know, it's a good thing. It's a pretty good thing. It's no better or worse than any of the other tier 7 medium tanks. I find it plays a lot like the T-43 seems to. I mean, I haven't played the T-43 since it had the D10T 100mm idiot gun, and it used to get into tier 10 games. and you can imagine how much fun that was. And it does bear a lot of similarities between itself and the T-43 does. I mean, the armour, well, the T-43's got better armour. It's got 75mm of armour all round, and it's sloped, but it's still pretty shit. The Comet has 76 at the front, crap at the sides and rear, but it's got decent frontal turret armour, so yeah, they're roughly comparable there. The guns are very, very similar. And, I mean, the complaints that I level at the Comet are twofold. First, it's the manoeuvrability. While on paper it's just as manoeuvrable as the Cromwell at Tier 6, it isn't. It really isn't. The suspension, the ground resistance of the suspension is nowhere near as good as on the Cromwell. Cromwell plays like a chaffee. It has fantastic ground resistance. It maintains that 36-degree traverse no matter what speed it's doing, no matter what terrain it's on. It's just ridiculously good. The Comet doesn't. The ground resistance on the suspension is not as good. It handles completely differently. It does bleed off speed when it turns tight corners, but you know what? So does everybody else. I'm sitting here saying, oh yeah, well, the ground resistance is bad. Oh yeah, it loses speed when it turns corners. Yeah, so does everybody. That's not really a complaint. It suffers from the same problems as every other tank in the game, other than a select few like the Cromwell, the Chaffee, the T50-2. Every other tank in the game loses speed when it turns tight corners. So that's not really a complaint. I've complained about the gun. I've complained about the fact that you're sitting here with this gun on the Cromwell, and you'll be using this gun at first when you get the Comet until you unlock the 77mm, and then you put the 77mm on and you notice no difference whatsoever between that gun and that gun. But you know what? It's still an okay gun. Just because the Cromwell had a very good gun at Tier 6 doesn't mean that what is effectively the same gun at Tier 7 is bad. It's not. It's just, it's okay. It's got very, very good rate of fire. It's very accurate. The penetration is all right. The damage out is low, but the sustained damage, the damage per minute, is pretty good. 2,154 average damage per minute. That's not bad. That's certainly nothing to complain about. It performs a lot like the 85mm gun, again, on the T43. It's got comparable damage, comparable penetration, it's more accurate, and it's got a better rate of fire, so it's a better gun than the T43 gets. I can't really sit here complaining about it. It's a good tank. I have had fun playing it, even in those games where I was bottom of the feeding chain, everybody else was tier 8 or 9. I have been able to do well in this tank. I've been able to walk away in the majority of those cases, even when the team lost, with the most experience of anybody else on the team in a tier 7 medium tank in a tier 9 game. And you can't do that in a bad tank. So don't let people tell you the Comet's a bad tank. It isn't. It cannot be a bad tank. You cannot get the results I have gotten in this if it's a bad tank. It's just not possible. And I've been able to do it consistently. It's not a great tank, don't get me wrong. None of the tier 7 mediums are great tanks. They're all pretty average. But that's not a bad thing. And I have enjoyed this tank, and I'm pretty sure you guys will too. I mean, if you like fast mediums, and it definitely is a fast medium, then you will have fun with the Comet. Maybe you won't have as much fun with the Comet as you did with the Cromwell at tier 6, because the Cromwell is fantastic. But you'll certainly have more fun with the Comet at tier 7 than you will with the Black Prince at tier 7. No question about that. You'll have more fun with the Comet at tier 7 than you'll have with the Churchill Mark 7 at tier 6, because that is just a great big steaming turd of a tank. The British mediums, so far, the proper mediums are talking from tier 6 up. They've been good tanks, and I'm looking forward to the Centurion Mark 1, because I have had some absolutely incredibly good games in that. And again, you know, it's the Centurion Mark 1. I like the Comet, like the Cromwell, is not a hard tank to kill. It's not very well armoured at all. but it's agile. It's got an okay gun. Rapid firing, doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's got the penetration, it's got the rate of fire. It's just so maneuverable. It's like the Cromwell, it's like the Comet, and this seems to be a very, very enjoyable medium tank line. I'm very, very happy with the British medium tanks. Not so much with the heavies so far. I'm looking at the Carnarvon next for the heavies, and a bit worried about that because I haven't found Carnarvons difficult to kill, even in a tier 7 medium. So that should be interesting. But for now, the Comet British tier 7 medium tank is a decent tank. It fits in very, very well with the other tier 7 mediums. It's not an exceptional tank by any stretch of the imagination, but it gets the job done and it's fun to play. So I think you'll enjoy driving yours when you get one, should you choose to go down the British medium tank line, but I can highly recommend them so far. So until next time, that was the Comet British tier 7 medium tank. Take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.